Welcome back to the Over the Shoulder podcast, episode 24. This week we're going over the WWF Attitude Era block logo belts. So, not the scratch logo, just specifically the block logo. We'll also be comparing the scratch logos and seeing which ones we prefer. We all know which ones I'm going to prefer. Now, once again, like every week, I'm here with my co host, Rob. And can you tell us who we have on this week as a special co host?
Oh, man, I'll tell you, another great episode with a great co-host. I got to tell you, Max, I mean, we were talking about this on the ROH episode. This gentleman needs no introduction. He really doesn't. About Addicts Anonymous, Hall of Famer, admin to some of the most, well, I'd say one of the top Facebook groups that there is out there for belt collecting. Just a stand-up guy. We're very honored to have him. He was on our previous episodes when we were reviewing the Crumb Ride. Eddie Williams is making another appearance on our podcast. And Eddie, you know, we're really happy to have you, man. You say hello to all the universe.
Well, hello everybody, and thank you. I got to say, and I told Max this the other day. You guys had the Hall of Fame, which I proudly, I'm honored to be involved with the Belt Addicts Anonymous Hall of Fame that you guys recently established. So I'm very excited to be a part of that. Anytime you can be recognized by your peers for anything, it's absolutely amazing to me. And that's what the hobby is all about. It's not just about buying belts. You meet friends, you have friendships. You end up getting great podcasts like this, reviews, admins of different pages. You get a beautiful collection. Like, my God, Rob's got behind him. I'm not a replica guy, but I don't get impressed very often when I see. Let me say this. I love replicas, but I love my boots as well. But when I see a collection like that, like behind him, I'm like, I know all those belts. And if you know what they are right away, I mean, there's a lot of money and a lot of time that was put into that. So shout out to you for that. But thank you for the introduction. It's going to be an honor to talk about these belts and be on here, you guys. Have a good time today.
And it's crazy, Eddie. And I mean, I'm actually looking at three of us. We are actually all Belt Addicts Anonymous Hall of Famers that are on this podcast. And no, I appreciate the shout out. Definitely, my wife is really, really big in displaying my collection. So really happy that she's done that. I've actually just recently doubled my collection. So I am a huge replica fan, licensed replicas, but really excited for this episode. Really am. And Max, I think, you know what, man? Why don't we just dive right into this?
Yeah, exactly. And now there's no better way to start than with the block logo Big Eagle. And I'm going to be honest, when I first saw the Big Eagle, I always saw the scratch logo version on the black strap. And I never was, I didn't mind it. I was always okay with it. I wasn't a huge fan. But when I saw the block logo on the blue strap, I immediately fell in love with this belt and just appreciated it a lot more. This was the original version given to Stone Cold Steve Austin after WrestleMania 14, 13? Correct me if I'm wrong.
14.
17? 14. There we go. All given to him. He was the last person to hold the Winged Eagle. They were giving, and it's we talked about this in previous episodes. It's hard to replace a belt so loved by everyone. The Winged Eagle, of course, lots of people's favorite belts. Everyone loves that belt. Even if you don't love it, you have to appreciate it for what it is. So replacing that belt is just such a difficult thing to do. And I think Jamar did a great job with this belt. The block logo, Big Eagle, I absolutely love it on a blue strap. That block logo just pops. I've said it on previous episodes, and I'll say it again. I'll say it several times this episode. I love the block logo. I just don't really like the scratch logo too much, especially the WWF scratch logo. I never liked it. I just love this the block logo. It just fills the plate way more. I just think it looks more prestigious. The scratch logo to me just seems like a toddler just drew it on there. I don't like it, especially for a belt, which should be respected and prestigious. I never liked the scratch logo. So this block logo looks amazing. I love that part of it, of course. The blue strap, dark blue, one of my favorite things about it. For a world title too, just so unique. That brown croc backing in the I love it. Rob, what do you think, Rob?
I mean, from a licensed belt collector, I mean, would I have rather had this one? Yeah, probably. I definitely would have. I absolutely agree with you, Max. I love the strap. I love the uniqueness and color. That block logo is pretty much the center of attention there. I mean, it's a massive pop. Incredible. I mean, I love on this belt in particular. I mean, I do love the backing that they have. A very, very nice backing. And again, I mean, I am a fan of this belt, even if it is scratch logo, block logo. Would I have rather had the block logo and it being licensed? Yes, I would have. I've always been a fan of this belt. I mean, when I think of this belt, I mean, I think back to those days. I really, really do. I mean, I grew up during those days, you know, when this belt was debuted and everything. So, I mean, a lot of things I do like about it. It's just, you know, would it have been nice if it was a licensed replica? Yes, because that's what I mean, I'm not saying that it's not great to not have licensed replicas. I mean, just in my collection, it just fits more, but a great belt nonetheless. Eddie, what do you think?
First of all, once again, we talked before we got on here about your amazing collection. I got to say again, when you say you like replicas, you look behind you, you really know that you like replicas because you got some of the best ones back there. This time is kind of okay. I'm from the 80s. I enjoyed the Wing Eagle, the Hogan 86, you know, all those belts, all the way down to the big green. My secret, I love World Class, as a lot of people know, but my secret belt that I just loved and I've always had to have at some point is the big green. So moving forward on that and then finding out later on about the previous belts, looking in magazines or the internet down the road. This was a trying time for me because I loved the wrestling, but I didn't want to let go of the older styles. You know, they went into the oval. We're going to talk about the big eagle. Right off the rip, though, I'm not a scratch guy either. I agree with you totally what you're saying about that, Max, Rob. The WWF block logo is what it's all about, and that's kind of the centerpiece of a lot of these belts. When you see that, I think it holds a little more prestige because it takes us back to the older days. And in my, like I said, any person says that. My father would have said that. You know, my son's going to say that to his kid. It's always better. Hopefully, we have wrestling that long. But this one right here, I didn't get to appreciate it as much as I did because it followed up a very iconic belt, if not one of the top 2 or 3 and ever that you can probably talk about. Yeah. So I got to say, I didn't like it at first. I mean, I was so used to the Wing Eagle that I don't want to say it was a letdown because I started to appreciate it later. I actually have one by Classic Shields being made right now, just like this. So when I do get it, maybe I can come back, review that with you guys, and you guys get to see that. Well, you guys, I'm sure you've seen many, but it's one thing to see it in a picture, have it in hand. Yeah. A lot of their belts are great. We can talk about later with a lot of other things they got going on. But this belt, I think I started to like it when it disappeared. I liked it during the corporation time. I know Kane had the first one, and you had so many other variations of this belt. But I like it now. I didn't like it back then. It had to grow on me, and I hate saying that because I even made a post one time in Brothers of the Belt saying I don't know how people like this belt sometimes. And I mean, of course, I'm going to get people want to get me anyway, but I gave them a perfect bullet to put in for this one. But looking at it now and the prestige and the history behind it, getting to watch this with my mother, my father, and even before that, I got to say it's a top 15 belt for me now. And I never appreciate the beauty as much as I do now.
If I were to comment a little bit on this belt, though, I mean, I don't know. I know a little bit about consistencies, but the thing is, though, and I know you probably couldn't have consistency with respect to the color of the globe and the color of the strap. I get it, but the color that it's got on the block logo, it's the background on the block logo. I don't know if it bothers me because of the different colors of blue going on there. I don't think it does, because it would be weird to have a really, really dark colored globe, and I don't know if it would look better with a light color around the block logo, and maybe that would just take away from it. I don't know. If I just really get into the critique here, if I really do, I find that there is a lack of color though throughout some of the side plates. It is fine. Do I think it's a great belt? It absolutely is. I mean, if I were to really, really comment though a little bit on color contrast, but I don't know. Would it look weird with a dark color globe? Yes. Would it look weird with that block logo having a lighter shade of blue in the back? Maybe it would look a little bit better. I don't know. I'm just saying it, guys. I
really didn't think about. Sorry to cut you off, but I didn't think about that until you mentioned it. And the more I think about it, I think I kind of like it being a different color because I think if the globes were the same shade of blue as the block behind the block logo, I think they wouldn't stand out at all. They just blend in, and you kind of forget about them. I think them being a light blue kind of makes them pop even more, and adds a little bit of pop that it needs on the main plate. What do you think, Eddie?
The color thing, I'm glad you brought that up because I've had this type of conversation with a lot of people. I think it's kind of like saying nobody else could be Freddy Krueger because we're used to seeing Freddy Krueger. So it's kind of hard to picture anything else on this belt other than what it is. So if you try to put another color into it, it's just not the way we remember it. Yeah. I think I like the blue contrasting with the other blue. Like I wouldn't want to see the same, as regards to that, but as far as some little things like on the side plates, if they were a little more animated, a little more color, maybe some more stones, maybe some texture. I don't know what would have helped it. Like I think about, because I watched it, and it fluctuated. They changed it so many times with so many different things. But, when I remember Jericho having a version of the scratch, and then I just how dull it used to look. I'm thinking maybe, as Classic Shields would say, put a little more flock into the wings and maybe some texture on the main plate. I could be okay with the rest of it, and I probably would have loved it from the beginning. But it's if you think about it, it's a little plain, and I think it comes off the Wing Eagle, and it looks like maybe it's a hybrid of the Wing Eagle, and there's a lot of things why, it came from a great, era, one of the being the greatest belts. So I think it's got a lot of things going against it for that. But we all realize, I think this panel, how great of a belt it is, though.
Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned, I just saw like a few days ago that Classic Shields was doing a custom on this belt where they had texturing all over the main plate. I'm going to try and find it. There's a lot of photos on their group, but I saw that they were doing that. And I completely agree. This is why I don't like the scratch logo. We'll get to it in a second. But I just don't like the scratch logo because for me, the blue strap kind of saves it. It adds that bit of color. And I think since it has the blue strap, that colorful strap, if it had more color on the main plate, I think it would be too much, maybe. A bit of red would have been nice. Like, I love the red on the McMahon family crest. I love that. I wish they added red on every single plate, or even on the far side plates, they could have painted them blue. I don't know. I wish I would have added that, but yeah, I can't find the photo. But I thought they were doing a custom, and they added texturing to the main plate, which just looked amazing. So.
I loved it too, and I think I remember the post you're talking about it. And there was a lot of people that gave it some heat too, but I think it's because, we're in a hobby where everybody wants everything accurate as they can get, so they don't see anything different. They think of it as like the bad child of the group. You know what I mean? Oh, we can't have that change because I think I love the crest, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because I'm thinking if they would have done some of that stuff on the other plates with some color, like just a little bit of color. Because I don't like the blue on the logos. To me on this one here, I would have rather just had it all gold or some other, something different than what they have it on here. But
I found it, and it was dual plated and textured. So there it is.
Yes, I remember that.
Dual plated with some texturing there, and I love it. I really, I love that. You can see the detail there. It just makes it pop even more.
If you can get a nice deep etch, like of course Classic Shields is going to give you that texture.
And I think Classic Shields is the only person who could only maker that could pull it off currently. Yeah. Of course, there's makers like a see if you could possibly do it later down the road, but currently I think they're the only ones who can pull it off successfully, and I love it. I
know what maker can't is United Bitch Brothers.
No. They couldn't even come close.
I always say, I'm sorry, just real quick. I made a comment, I think, in your group as well. You can tell them that you need, an exhaust for your car, and they're going to say United Belt Brothers can do that, because it seems like I see it in every group. They pop out like they used to say on that one show where he's like message. It's just like these guys, United Belt Brothers, wherever you're at, they just lurk out whenever you want a belt. It's amazing. They got like 20 American names, I think, too.
So many people.
But anyway, go ahead. My apologies.
No. That's exactly it. Now comparing the two versions, you can see the block logo on the left and the scratch logo on the right. And I don't like the scratch logo at all. I don't know. The scratch logo it just seems so odd there. I do have to say I like the version where it was the gold scratch logo. That version I don't mind because it's not so in your face. But that one with painted in, I just don't like it. Black strap is fine, I guess. I don't really mind the difference, but it just falls flat. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, I can't really tell, I like the block logo better. I definitely do. I absolutely do. So do I like the one on the left? Yeah, I mean, I do. I definitely do. If I had my way, they wouldn't have gone to the scratch, but definitely,
I mean, I get why they did it
you know,
in the time it makes
is.
sense why they did it, but it's kind of a shame for the belts, you know?
It is, and it definitely was a shame. Um, yeah, I absolutely love the one on the left. I definitely do. But I mean, and again, as a Figures Inc. belt collector, the one on the right, I mean, it appeals to me, of course. So, but Eddie, what do you think?
I have the same opinion as both of you guys. I started, like I said, I was a little on the fence about even the one on the left at first because I love the Wing Eagle so much.
Yeah.
But I mean, I look at the block going to the scratch on any belt. I know they're doing a different variation. I would rather have seen a whole different belt altogether. I have seen some replicas though of the Big Eagle scratch that are look nice. You know that they do, but I mean, if you're switching it over, I mean, it's kind of what they did with the network logo and, and all that stuff now.
Yeah.
But yeah, once you see one and then they kind of change it a little bit, I've never been a fan of that. So, I wish they would have kept it the way it was. It didn't have a long enough run, I think, as the block. It should have went a little bit longer. I mean, I know they had to change it with, obviously, but if you're doing it at that point, make a whole different belt. Just not put the scratch looks lazy to me. And
yeah, that's exactly. It feels like they just threw it on.
Yeah, agreed. So I agree with you guys on that.
Yeah,
it's a shame. But moving on to a redesign, which I never really liked, the oval IC. Never a huge fan of it. We talked about it in the IC episode and other episodes. Never a huge fan of the oval IC. But if I had to pick one that I liked, of course, it's the block logo, the first version on the purple strap. Now, like we talked about with the Big Eagle, coming from such an iconic design that everyone loved, the Winged Eagle to Big Eagle, not everyone's going to like it. And most people, like you said, Eddie, it's hard to get used to because you love that belt so much. And I think that's the case with this belt, and it gets overlooked a lot. And I don't see many people talking about this belt, and that's because it replaced the classic IC, which everyone loved. I think unanimously, I haven't seen anyone that doesn't like the classic IC, especially the WWF classic IC. So going to the oval IC, this is a drastic change on a purple strap. I mean, if we're talking about just oval ICs, this is my favorite version because I absolutely hate the scratch logo oval IC and even more hate the WWE scratch logo IC, which is the nameplate, which just looks horrible. But this version's okay, I guess. I don't mind it. It's hard to look over. What do you think, Rob?
I mean, I don't know about the purple. I mean, the purple, I don't know if it just doesn't, if it does it for me. I mean, to have a champion, like a big, strong champion, I mean, I get it, it's a mid card, but anyways, to have a champion walk into the ring with a purple strap, I mean, I don't know. It just seems odd to me. It definitely does. Do I like the block logo better than the scratch? Of course I do. I find it's more precision. It's more just a nice precision on that main plate. I definitely do. As far as that unique side plate that they had, it takes me back to the old days. I mean, when they had the WWF, I mean, absolutely, but even back in the 80s where the Flash and everything, it kind of reminds me of that. Would I would have liked to have this on black strap? Yeah, I probably would. Do I like my WWF Oval licensed 2001 figs? Yes, I do, because again, I'm looking for rarity. I am. Would I replace the block with the scratch? I would like to do that, but again, from a licensing, I'm not able to get that. Mm-hmm. I'm not. But I mean, I guess there's just little things that I don't care for this belt, but there's also little things I don't care for that scratch belt. I mean, definitely not. But yeah, I mean, I do find that WWF on this plate just makes it more just boom, like it's just a nice clear cut finish. Mm-hmm. That's how I feel. Anyways, Eddie, what do you think?
Overall, I'm not a fan of the oval at all, really. I mean, the scratch or the block. The only thing I like about both of them is the block on this. I mean, that's just because once again, it's the WWF. It's upsetting that they ever had to go away from that. But that's the only thing I like. I don't like the purple either. I'm coming from a red logo, classic IC. I've seen so many great matches. The belt seemed bigger. I mean, at one point, the red logo to me, it was just as big as Hogan's belt because, you've seen more. I mean, I love the main event with Hogan, but when I was a kid, I remember a lot of great matches with the Intercontinental Championship. So when they went to this, like I said, it's like when they went to the Big Eagle, all these new belts, and a great time to be a wrestling fan. You know what I mean? You're getting into the ruthless aggression era and all these other times, and you're seeing all these belts come out, and I'm just like, I don't know. I'd rather have the old ones. But if I have to say something I do like about it, I mean, if you want to make it a mid-card title, because that's what it is, it's a mid-card title, and you don't want it to look as prestigious as, the bigger one. To me, this was kind of like a little brother. I mean, seeing what they were doing here, they purposely made it smaller and make it look less prestigious than the Big Eagle or whatever was, ahead of it. So I can't get into it. People want them all the time. When I sell them, I'm telling you, I every week I get a couple people, hey, can I get a block logo oval? I mean, not the scratch, but the block. I just got ordered yesterday for one of these. But me, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. I'm a fan of the old one, and I can't get off of it no matter what they put out there now.
Yeah, no. And one thing I really do like about this version a lot is the property plate. I love how the block logo is coming off, and you can't do that with a scratch though. I mean, you can, but it's going to be like a little thin piece of metal. It's you can only do this with block logo, and I just love that little detail. The strap, it's fine. It's a dark purple. In this lighting, looks very purple. In other lighting, looks more of a black, but it's okay. It's like the worst. It's like the best of the worst belt. Like the oval I see in the whole don't like it, but if I had to pick one, it's probably this one. Now, of course, you can see the scratch logo on the right and the block logo on the left. It does look like a black strap there on the rock because of the lighting, so it's not bad. I prefer the block logo simply because of the block logo. Scratch logo again looks kind of sloppy. Doesn't look as bad as the Big Eagle scratch logo in my opinion on the oval I see. I think it blends in a little bit better just because it's the globes in the background, and on the Big Eagle it's just blank. So for me, there's more empty space on the Big Eagle, and on this one, it's just at least there's a globe in the background, so it's not so drastic of a change. But I guess I prefer the block logo, but I just don't like this belt in general. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, and I'm glad, Max, that they decided to not go with the nameplate thing on this belt. I mean, they did it on the WWE version. I hate that belt. I absolutely do. It's absolute crap having the Intercontinental Champion on one line. Glad that they didn't do it here. The Intercontinental actually goes all the way across, and then the champion below. As far as these two, I mean, maybe it's the lighting. It definitely is the lighting on the left-hand side. I'm finding that when you look at the middle of that plate, I mean, it's almost like it drowns, and it's almost like you can't really even see the block logo because I don't know what the heck's going on. I mean, maybe the color is just not the greatest on that, but as far as on Jericho, if you would have to really, really look really, really carefully to see that scratch. I find that the colors are a lot better on that one. Is it my favorite? It's definitely not my favorite. And to tell you the truth, even if you are selling the WWF Scratch Logo 2001, people think, oh yeah, they're rare. Well, you know what? They come up all the time in sales, resell. It's not really, you're not really going to get the bang for the buck here. You're definitely not. Judging by these pictures, sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry. I just want to say we piggyback on what you said. We talked about that more in depth in the 2001 Fakers Thing Complete Attitude Airline. We're talking about how some belts aren't valued as high. I mean, of course, most Fakers Inc. are valued pretty high nowadays, but this one, I don't know. Would you agree? It's probably like the lowest.
It's the lowest. I would say it's definitely the lowest on that Attitude Era line. I mean, if you were to let's say Rob, okay, judging by these pictures, which one's your favorite? I can't actually give you a clear answer because I actually think the one on the left, it doesn't really stand out really, really well because of the lighting. If you really, really wanted me to judge it based on these pictures, I don't know. I'd actually go with probably the one on the right, even though I like the block logo.
Yeah, and I'm trying to ignore this photo because I completely agree. The more I look at it, the photo on the left looks like shit. I don't know. The lighting just looks so bad. Yeah. The block logo just blends in there. In the previous photo, it looked way better. Way better. And this photo just blends in there and looks like shit. The scratch logo somehow looks better in this one, but I'm trying to disregard this photo and still prefer the block logo. What do you think, Eddie? Which one do you prefer?
Well, going to your choice of pictures here, I mean, the scratch this one is the worst of all those, like you said, Attitude Era, going to Ruthless Aggression belts right here. you're making it look pretty good here with Jericho. I'm kind of liking the angle of everything going on here. I'm looking at The Rock, and I'm like, this main event guy is carrying around a toy. This one looks like a toy on this side. The one Jericho has, it looks like, it looks kind of nice. If that's the first pick I seen of it, and I never seen it before, I'd be like, wow, it's not bad. It's this belt had to go at this point when when Jericho and then these guys had it. I'm ready for another belt already. I was like, I can't. It just, to me, and it's like the V5 from the V4 going to the V5. I'm talking about the IWGP, just not to go off the subject. It's hard to go from a belt like that to anything that you're going to get is not going to be as good as its predecessor. And these ones, they came after one of those top 5 iconic designs, in my opinion, of all time, and it's the Intercontinental title. But it's a toy on the left right there.
And you're right. It just looks so tiny on The Rock and the way he's holding it. And the thing about the oval I think it looks good around the waist, but over the shoulder, kind of looks like shit. It just looks so long, and the nameplate looks ridiculous.
If this was a cruiserweight, cruiserweight belt, that's why maybe it looks good on Jericho right there. That's a nice cruiserweight looking title to me. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah, no, and Max, the one on the left, where did he get it from? One of those fucking what is it, sheet metal? from our beloved friends right at United Brothers Belts.
Of course, our sponsor of this episode.
Sorry, United Brothers Belts. You can go fuck yourself.
Now,
they're like a thorn in everybody's side. Trust me.
To the WWF Block Logo European. And it's so hard to find good pictures of. I really did struggle finding good quality pictures of these belts. So I had to use a bootleg for this. So please, everyone in the comments, don't kill me. This is a bootleg, but let's just talk about the design itself, the Block Logo European. And we talked about it in previous episodes. This one, I love, just like the Big Eagle, I love the Block logo way more than the Scratch logo. The Scratch logo on the European, to me, looks really bad. I don't like the white. I love the gold. It just blends in there perfectly. It fills that spot nicely. On the Scratch logo, I think it just looks like a little drawing. I don't like it at all because its design is so prestigious, so detailed, so much. It's carrying so much weight, and then having a little drawn-on logo looks horrible, in my opinion. You need that Block logo. And the green strap, it's okay. Not my favorite, but I don't mind it. It looks pretty decent. And we were talking about, I think Brandon was saying that Jamar usually, what he did was he just got random leather that he had in stock and would use it for his belt. So he believes that's why he put a green strap on this one and then a black strap on the Scratch logo. But yeah, I like this way better than the Scratch logo. Green strap, I don't mind it. In some lighting, it looks black. So it's not bad. What do you think, Rob?
I understand that it's a boot. I get it. But, with respect to, if I were to comment on it, do I like the Block logo better? I do. I definitely do. I'm sorry, but this belt, I don't like the all gold with the World Wrestling Federation. I don't. What they have here, the green strap, green is cool. Green is really, really cool to have. Definitely. On my on the WWF 2001 Figs Inc., the Scratch, the green backing that they have is a really, really nice backing. When I think of this belt with the Block logo, though, and I was watching it, it was the Canadian Stampede in your house when Bulldog, Davey Boy, came out and he was sporting this, and he's going like this, right? That Block logo was just absolutely perfect on that belt. It absolutely was. It's a beautiful. It is definitely beautiful. Would I change it out to have Block logo? I would, but again, I would love it to be licensed. I definitely would. Would I have loved for them to license these Block logo WWF belts? I think they would have gotten a lot of people to buy them. I definitely do.
I would. I'm not a Figures Inc. collector, and if they had the Figures Inc. Block logos, yeah, I definitely go for a lot of them.
Totally on these belts, absolutely. I've always loved the European Championship. I definitely have. Is it a belt that I didn't think I was going to get? No. I got it. I got lucky on mine. But love the Block logo. Eddie, what do you think?
Let me tell you about this belt. I like looking at this one right here, and I always, when I talk about a belt, you'll notice I talk about how I first seen the belt, or who was wearing it, or how it was being contested, thrown around, whatever. I always have with great memories, great belts. This one here, when it first came out, I actually thought it was better than any belt that was out at that time. I was like, man, this is better than the world title. It's better than the Intercontinental title. It's better than the tags. I'm hoping that we're going to get better belts of the other ones. And at that time, when you had the Wing Eagle, you had the Big Eagle, you're not knowing what's going to happen next. So you're always excited if a new belt. I know you guys, if you guys were, but me, anytime there was a debut of a belt, that was a big day. I was always excited to see a debut of a belt. This one here, just with the paint on the front of it, and I know we're not looking at a licensed replica here, but just with the color scheme, I love red. Red seems to go with whether you're doing a nickel or gold belt, it fits in there.
For sure.
And then they got the other flags in there as well. They're colored. They got them nice right down the side, which I think is good. And then you have that globe in the middle. Anytime there's a globe in the middle, you really can't go wrong on any belt. I mean, it seems to work. And then that block standing out, which if the block alone, like on the Intercontinental title, could make that look appealing. I mean, that's just one aspect of this belt. Now I know we're going to get into the scratch. I have a whole different take on that. But for some reason, they just nailed this belt. They put everything in the right spot. I like the gold etching around the gold. The globe. And it just fits in right there. And then you see European champions just right in your face. It has that red there, and then the flag's below it. I mean, you just look at that. Overall, of all the belts we're probably going to talk about today, this one is probably my favorite one. I just have a lot of fond memories about it. Now, the green, as I'm a kid, I can go back to the Intercontinental title when it was purple. It was only purple for a minute after the lotion and whatever they were putting on their bodies, because I don't remember it being purple as a kid. It was black. You know what I mean? And then when I found out later, when I got into this hobby, this side of the hobby anyway, I'm seeing these purple straps. I'm like, where's that from? And they're like, well, don't you remember? And I'm like, no, it was black from like the first week. And then I read a story or article somewhere where, a lot happened to it. And the color actually changed fast on it. But my favorite belt right here, man, today anyway.
Now you're talking about the scratch logo and the block logo. Of course, you see the British Bulldog on the left, and then Christian, now known as Christian Cage in AEW, with the scratch logo on the right. I mean, do I have to say? I think you guys already know. For the whole episode, I'm probably going to pick the block logo. I just love it. I've been waiting for this episode just to talk about how much I love this logo. The block logo is just so wonderful, and on this belt, just looks absolutely perfect. Scratch logo looks like complete dog shit in my opinion. For me, it ruins the belt. Black strap, whatever, not a huge change to me. Green, black, either way, like them both. The white scratch logo though, I don't like that. It just stands out so much, and it's so out of place in my opinion. Just don't like it. What do you think, Rob?
I actually like both of them. I got to tell you, I like both of them. But if I was to nitpick a little bit on this, when Davey Boy is making it look really good. I mean, he absolutely is. Like, that is just absolute fire. I would have liked to have on Christian's belt, again, that World Wrestling Federation in white, be that on the block logo. I mean, I would add that. That globe looks like fire though on Davey Boy though. That looks a heck of that. That's just absolutely incredible, shiny shit. I absolutely love it. I do love Christians though as well. I mean, one of our admins on Belt Addicts Anonymous, Casey, ended up acquiring the scratch logo 2001, and he paint modded it to make it look accurate. It was an absolute beauty paint mod. I mean, the majority of those belts, and of course this goes out to the universe, for the 2001, you're going to get it with the black standard. But again, these belts, I mean, I like them both. I really do. Would I take away some stuff on one and put stuff on the other? Absolutely. It's such a shame, it really is about Davey Boy. I've been over to Brett's sister's house when I was meeting up with Brett to sign stuff, and she's got pictures all over her mantle, like this one on the left with Davey Boy with the European title with the block logo. Absolutely fire, absolutely incredible. I would love to have that block logo. I'm with you, Max. I definitely am. Eddie, what do you think?
Oh, we're starting to get into some belts here, and I know some other ones we're going to talk about as well. I'm not really going to be a fan of and pretend that I've ever liked this belt. Now, this European, the block, beautiful belt. We just talked about how much I love that belt. Now, the scratch, and this version Christian has, oh my goodness, the white, you're talking about the white on there. That to me, it looks horrible. You got to get that white out of there. I've never liked it. The replica, I've had the replica in my possession of this, the European anyway, and to me, it's one of the worst ones they ever made. I'm looking at it. I mean, in replicas, you're not going to get this deep etch. I mean, the newer ones they're on board. You know, I mean, I'm loving the new stuff coming out, but I mean, just the side plates and just how dull and bland they looked, and I'm just not a fan. There's no they went from another design. It's kind of like the Scratch Big Eagle, and not as bad as this one though. But if you were going to start out and debuting a belt that this version here that Christian has, that's what they should have had, because it wouldn't have looked anywhere near as prestigious as the other two that were here. So to me, so far, this is the worst belt we've looked at. I don't like it. It looks very cheap to me, and I say the whiteness and the side plates could have had a little more in on it, and I don't know. I'm just not a fan. I can see why somebody would like it, but I don't.
But sorry, Eddie, you have to admit though, the 2019 WWE European one that the shop has released, they missed the mark on that belt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, that globe is fucked up on the 19 re-release. At least they got it right with this.
Yeah.
That one on the 19, I do not like the release of that WWE shop puts out.
Mm-hmm.
That is what they put out. So.
I agree with Eddie. That's exactly it. Cheap. That's exactly what I couldn't put my finger on it, and I didn't know what it was about it. It looks cheap. The one on the left was prestigious. It looks like a belt I would want to win. If you're a wrestler, you want to win that belt, and you carry it proudly around your waist, over your shoulder. Doesn't matter. The one on the right just looks cheap. It just seems like a prop. The white, I don't like it. I like how on the one on the block logo, World Wrestling Federation just blends in. I mean, who gives a shit? You see the logo, you know which company it's for. You don't need the big white text telling you. You're not an idiot. You know what it is for. Okay, that big white just looks tacky, out of place. There's already so much color on it: the blue, the red, the flags. You don't need more paint on it. The logo just does not fit there. It's just so out of place. The leather cut too. I don't know what happened to the leather cut. The leather cut's perfect on the green one, and then the black one, it's all thin. The plates are too close together. And my expression when I saw this belt is exactly like Teddy Long in the back there, just disappointed. I don't like it at all. Prefer the block logo.
Oh, definitely. That white's looking at me now, scaring me. I don't have any love for it. I usually with Rob, and I love listening to explain replicas, because you do. No one does it better than you, and no one clearly behind you other than Colin Sauve has a love for the replicas like you do. But this one here, man, it looks like a toy even on him, just kind of like The Rock with that scratch or block version he had. It's just complete crap.
Misses the mark for me.
Yeah.
Now the next belt is the WWF block logo Light Heavyweight Championship. Now, we talked about it in previous episodes, and I know when we talk about the scratch logo, I know Casey is going to be so mad. He's going to be watching this. Casey, I apologize in advance for what I'm about to say to your favorite belt of all time. Now, the block logo first, though. Let me talk about this one. Block logo. I love it. I really do. I've grown to like it a lot more over the past few years, or whenever I first saw it. I really do like it. Love the red strap. I love the yellow block logo, so retro. I love that about this design. Just seems very retro-y, very 80s almost, with the lines on the bottom. It almost reminds me of the stage they had for Raw with the lights and everything. I just love the design about it. The color looks beautiful. Gray backing, love that. Red front looks good. Main plate's pretty good with the yellow logo, blends in nicely. Beautiful shade for the globe. I just really like this belt. The scratch logo, though, we'll talk about it soon, which I despise. It's just such a huge downgrade, but yeah, I really like this belt. Rob, what do you think?
I mean, as we were talking about it on the previous episode, we had it almost, sorry, Max, but it was almost like a 4-on-1 with respect, because I know you came out and you said you hated this belt. I mean, I absolutely love this belt. If it's block logo, if it's scratch logo, again, the scratch logo, I mean, the licensed replica that is being really hard to find. I posted this on Belt Addicts Anonymous about my top 5 favorite replica belts. This was number 5, just the licensed version. For this belt, though, I mean, I'm with you though, Max. I love the yellow. I love that yellow logo. I mean, it takes me back to a favorite pastime here. I mean, with respect to it, the design of the belt, though, I mean, it's unique. It is almost like it's definitely like a shield. It absolutely is. It's like a shield. That main plate, it really really stands out. On this belt, though, I mean that cut is kind of unique on the top. The backing of the belt is cool. Red is really cool. Actually, I think it really really goes well. And then the World Wrestling Federation. It's like. I mean, it's like the advertisements that were coming out, advertising World Wrestling Federation back in the day, back in the 80s, like the blink, like they was like blinking. And I mean, that's really, really cool. Really cool to have. This is a great looking title. It absolutely is. And I know you're about to bring up one of my, the belt maker that, I'm sorry, I fucking hate. It's actually not United Belt Brothers. It's another guy. I know you're about to bring his ass up.
Yeah, in the
and you've had some experience with him. So I can't wait till we get to that because, of course, I'll knock his ass out. And I know he's the only one that does this. But I mean, it looks great. It absolutely does. Eddie, what do you think?
Perfect example here. I think it's a running thing. What we're doing here is, it's not always the best option to tweak a belt and change it a little bit. Like this one, we're going to go into another belt and I'm going to have a totally different opinion on this next belt. It was kind of like the European, the oval from the classic IC. I just think I would rather see a whole different belt. I know sometimes it's just a prop to them and all right, we're scratch, we got the scratch now. So let's just throw a scratch on it, make a couple alterations and put it out there. Some people like that. I love this belt here. And I've had this belt at one point. I had it from Hashim Husnan Alianis's brother. It actually had a red back. I don't know if you guys know that, but they're brothers. He had complete red backing on the back. I got it from Richard Bergeron. I seen it on one of Dustin's pages. And, I might not look like I buy belts, but sometimes I'll scout through and I'll see one that, I've never had that one. I want to at least review it, get it. And this was one that was sitting around and 3 months later, I go and look, and I'm thinking it's not going to be there still. But as we all know, not everybody's a fan of this belt. I mean, but this particular one is great. So I asked Richard. He's like, "Yeah, I still have it." I was like, "Wow." I took it. I had it for a little while, and then I went mainly to World Class and a couple of other belts. So I sold it, but it's a beautiful belt, man. I really, really love this belt. It fits. It looks like a lightweight title. There's a lot of. This is a perfect example of just changing the colors, how much it can make a belt look. Totally different in your eyes. And this is one where I love this. So I totally agree with Rob. I love this belt.
Yeah. Now let's move on. Sorry, Casey, once again in advance for what I'm about to do to your favorite belt.
One thing about Casey real quick, if you don't mind. Don't mean to interrupt you. Casey, I got to tell you, if you're going to be watching this, you got me all teary-eyed talking about me on the Hall of Fame on the Belt Addicts Anonymous, man. I watched that thing 3 or 4 times and I shared with my wife. I said, look, it's always great to hear somebody just acknowledge you in a great way and appreciate you. And, and I just loved hearing how great I got to say, you guys, I love it. And you guys I know you'll love it too, whenever you hear that, but I love it, man. So I was real excited and teared up. So
if you guys haven't checked it out, check it out on Belt Addicts Anonymous on the Facebook. I believe also on Casey's YouTube channel, he posted the Belt Addicts Anonymous Hall of Fame and well-made video, great made video.
Well, I loved it. And a really cool fact is, my co-hosts here went into the same inaugural class at the same time. Max went in at the same time as Eddie. Very, very well deserving. And I'm hoping that Belt Addicts Anonymous, I hope our universe is actually hearing about this. The WrestleMania 38 inductees. We haven't forgotten about that. That's actually going to be announced probably in about a week via live. I've actually finalized the list with Casey. The Royal Rumble inductees are going in. They're actually submitting their speeches as we speak. But it is, I'll assure you guys, the Hall of Fame, it is an up-and-coming thing. Belt Addicts Anonymous, we watch everything. If you want to be inducted, show us why you want to be inducted, because we watch it all. But I can assure you that the list that's going in at Mania, it's probably one of the biggest lists that we've had. So we're really, really excited for that. definitely.
Oh yeah, and I got a sneak peek, and I won't say anything, but it's a pretty substantial list now. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
keep your guys' eyes peeled for that. Now, once again, we talked about it. Casey, much respect for you. Great guy, great friend, but I'm sorry, I got to do it. This scratch logo light heavyweight championship is the worst, biggest piece of shit belt I have seen. In my opinion, the worst belt in the Attitude Era, worse than the Oval IC. It is a complete dog shit. I'm sure some of the United Belt Brothers belts are maybe better than this. I don't know. That's just
I don't
maybe
know.
that's going too far, but I absolutely hate what they did to this belt. They massacred a beautiful design and just sloppy, just lazy. Like they went from that beautiful design, perfectly designed, and go to the shitty scratch logo. They just took out the block logo, threw it on there, no care. The sizing looks off. It just looks too small on the main plate. It just looks like someone draw it on there. I feel like a 3-year-old can do a better job. On the side plates, it just does not pop at all. The black strap is so bland. You need color on that strap because the main plate is so bland. I mean, let's be honest. On the red, it's not that much of a big deal because you got that beautiful yellow logo, you got that red strap, so it's not a big deal. Can't be too busy. But when you're having it on the black strap, your plates should really pop, and these fall so flat. Like it's just so boring. So once again, I'm sorry, Casey. I had to go on a little rant. Hate this. Just absolutely hate the scratch logo version. Rob, what do you think?
Well, after you just shat on that version of the belt, holy crap. All right, so here's the thing. I mean, I've got a different opinion, obviously. I definitely do. While I agree with you, Max, that the one on the left is absolutely incredible. There's absolutely no question about it. I think that the colors are there, the plates pop, the yellow just makes it so much better. Absolutely. On the one on the right, I get it. Definitely black. It's taken away. There is no pop. There's nothing there. However, though, and I am going to speak to this for a lot of us rare belt collectors. I mean, I can mention some names here. Colin Sove, Rob Lethby, Kevin Very, Jamie Gilbert, KC, Brandon. All those guys, and Jocelyn Guzman, Frank Paul. All those guys. We are going to always want the licensed replica. We're always going to go after the licensed replica. If the one on the right ever came up and it was in really decent condition, I'd be all over that. There's no question. I wouldn't even care. The fact is, I've got a rarity in a collection. I'm promoting a rare collection behind me. And this is being one of the top ones to find out of the Attitude Era line because I don't see them. And then I see a post about this guy getting back into the belt collecting, and I was almost going to kill him. And it was not just because I was going to kill him. I was so jealous of him because he just got back in the belt collecting, and this was his first replica title that he got. And it was absolutely crazy. And I don't know if you guys know who I'm talking about. It was a guy who posted this, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm just getting back to the belt game. This is my 2001 Figures Inc. light heavyweight." I'm like, "Fuck, unreal, unreal." For us rare belt collectors, we want this. We definitely do. But, and I get it that you don't like this belt, and I'm not trying to back it up. And I know that Jamie, Casey, Brandon, when we were all on that episode, they all love this belt. Would I like to have this as a licensed on the one on the left? No question. There's no question, because I definitely agree with you. It looks a lot better than the one on the right. But for a rarity purpose, I would be all over the one on Dean Malenko's shoulder. Eddie, what do you think?
I'm with you. I got a lot of the same feelings Max does about this belt, but I think it's for different reasons. And I think you just said it best. And I was trying to think why there's such a discrepancy with what you think and what me and Max might think with this belt. And it's simple. It's a rare belt in the replica world. So therefore it looks beautiful in the eye of the beholder because you want to have that belt because it's hard to attain that belt.
Yeah.
Now in the boot world, you can just go tell a maker to get in around 60 days to a year. You're going to get whatever you want. Now I find it kind of sad that somebody sat here and said, let's just put a scratch and throw a black strap on it. And reminds me of what you said about Jamar, just putting whatever's available. Now, it just looks so plain with that black strap. I think the red has it stand out. I don't know if they they wanted everything to be, in a black strap. I know they went with purple, green, and all these other designs, but this just with the yellow, the where they had the stones and everything on the side, on the left side, and then you go on this other side and it's just like, you took its coat off or whatever. It's just too plain. So for a boot guy, of course, to me, the one on the right is one of the most hideous belts I've ever seen the World Wrestling Federation come up with. But if I'm a replica guy, I mean, I'm looking at lists. I'm thinking the only way I can equate it is Rob had 10 beers and he's looking down, and that just looks beautiful because he wants that belt. But it's a beautiful belt if you need it in your collection. So it might just clutter your view on how bland it really is. But I think Rob can agree that it's pretty bland too. But you start with the red one. It's just kind of sad to go to the one on the right. So not a fan either, Casey, but I love the the introduction you gave me still. So God bless you, brother.
Even the leather tooling, like I picked the picture on the left because honestly, I don't know who that is. I don't know. You guys can fill me in. I don't know who that guy is, but that you can see the leather strap on there, and I love that tooling. It looks like a bit of clamshell tooling go around the main plate and the side plates. On the right, though, they went with the WWF tooling. Yeah, never really liked that too much. You can barely tell. You can see it's there, but it's very hard to tell, and don't like it. But moving on to the classic tags. Now, this is another one that I just very sad to see them go from the block logo to the scratch logo. Let's start with the block logo. This is an absolute beauty of a belt. And I've talked about it before. I usually prefer dual-plated belts, so I do prefer the dual-plated version. That is my favorite version of this belt. To me, the gold falls a little flat. That being said, it's still a beautiful belt. The dual-plated for me makes the crown and the floral patterns and the grapplers and everything around the belt pop way more. And on the all-gold, kind of just like falls a little more flat. Still, beautiful design. One of the best tag team title designs in history. What do you think, Rob?
I agree. I don't like the all gold on this belt that I'm seeing on the screen. I don't like how the cut just comes up a little bit too high. I would have liked a tighter cut. Absolutely. I love my dual plated. I do not. And if we're going to talk about the releases on the shop, I'm sorry. I mean, for a rare belt collector, I mean, I get it. They can't do WWF anymore. They can't. I don't like the release with that Legends logo. It looks kind of weird. It does on this one. I've got the rare 2012 Figs Inc. dual plated WWF one. I like that one. That's a rare belt. Definitely is a rarity. I like that one a lot better. It's in fine shape. I think that an all gold belt, it just drowns it a little bit more. It's I don't know. I find it weird to have that all gold and then to have the colors scheme going on here, because on the top, like the whole round of the plate, you've got all the all gold, and then here's the color. Here is the beautiful color. I mean, I just don't like it. I really don't. And again, the cut on this, it's not. It's just not great. I'm with you, Max. I know you like dual plated. I love dual plated. Absolutely do. Eddie, what do you think?
I have a lot of love for this version. Not so much just the all gold, but the world, and all the way back from the Bulldog title to the dual plated. There was even, I don't know if you guys probably do know, there was like a Strike Force version with different side plates. On the actual Bulldog side plates were on this belt. When Demolition Strike Force time. Don't make me think of the exact time because I got no clue. But I grew up with the Bulldog, the silver version of this belt, and I call them all the same, even though they're different because they have that world in the front, that shape. Even the Attitude Era, a little bit of a sleeker design, but still the same. So I love the Bulldog title. I was really excited to see the Hart Foundation, introduce, I believe it was this version, right? The all gold, if I'm not mistaken. So I loved it then, but then they came out with the dual plated, the Money Inc., like I said, the Strike Force. And I always kept going back to the Bulldog because that was the first one that was the first tag I had to have. I love the World Class. I have love for the NWA Cast tag. I have one of those, but this design here, you just cannot beat it. I don't care in the next 50 years if they come out with belts. You're not going to beat this design. I have a CNC version of this right here actually in front of me. I was going to show that one. I still might, but I had a message with the European one, so I was going to go somewhere with that. So maybe we'll show both of them. There's nothing to me. This is a flawless design. I like the dual plated, but with this, if it's done right, like the CNC that I've seen, it's like any belt, like the WCW heavyweight 91 to 94. If it's done right, it's going to look really great. And on this particular one, yeah, that's the only, if I'm looking at something, and I'm critiquing it, I would have liked the leather a little bit tighter cut on here as well.
Yeah, for sure. Now, comparing the classic, the all gold, and the Attitude Era with the scratch logo, I mean, you guys have seen the pattern in the episode. I think you guys know where I'm going with this. Don't like the scratch logo. Even on this one, it just seems so out of place. On the side plates, it looks huge, like ridiculously huge. And it makes, I don't know, for the longest time, I thought these had extra small side plates. But looking back at the all gold version, the classic one also had the same side plates. It's that logo, that huge F, makes it look way smaller. Makes the side plates look tiny compared to the huge main plate. I don't like that. It just makes it look so weird. Yeah, don't like the scratch logo at all. I mean, what else can I say? The block logo looks way better on this design. What do you think, Rob?
I like what I have. I mean, I absolutely do. I like what I have. I like both. Dual plated and the Attitude Era WWF. Absolutely. Rarity, guys. I'm all about rare. I might as well just change my middle name to Rare. I think I've been talking to Colin Sauvé too much.
I think it's better fitting Rob Figs Inc.
Figs Inc. Well, I mean, much love to my brother Colin Sauvé. Him and I are extremely tight. There's no doubt about that. So he got me really on to definitely seeing the rare side of belt collecting. I'm definitely not on his level. There's no doubt about it. But I love both versions. I do. Dual plated WWF tag, Figs Inc., WWF Attitude Era 2001 Figs Inc. Now, Max, I totally agree with you, though. I mean, there are things on the Attitude Era belt I don't like. Absolutely not. You're absolutely right. Those side plates, they're ridiculous. I mean, they absolutely are. It's like my little nephew. I mean, if I give him a belt, here you go, paste it on. Just put them on. Just put on those side plates. They're just like little pieces of crap. But again, rarity. It's rare. It's licensed. I mean, you're right. The WWF logo, it's bigger than the flipping side plate. I mean, it's absolutely is huge. And I'm sorry, Casey, you're not going to be happy with me. And I mean, I know Max already shot your dream down and shot your spirits down about it. I know you have the re-release on the shop, the one for the Attitude Era. I'm sorry, man. I don't like it. I know that they got it right, and I know that they got a lot of things right. But again, I don't like it. I'm sorry. I really don't.
You're right. They got it right, but it's like it's getting a piece of shit right. Like it's still gonna be a piece of shit. Like whether you got it right or not, it still looks like shit.
I know, and I mean, I'm sorry, man. I really am. I mean, the two belts that I have, I mean, I wouldn't change it. I definitely wouldn't. I would not be getting the re-released, and I didn't even like the WWE version that came out right after the WWF for the Attitude Era line. I really don't. I mean, there are things I would change again, but for rarity, I love them. Eddie, what do you think?
I'm kind of this one in particular. I might be leaning a little more towards your way, Rob, on these because I understand the rarity. A little story before we talk about this. I got an AWA Figures Inc. belt, and I got one of those Attitude Era tags at the same time from somebody, a friend of mine, Wayne Tuttle. He was like, Eddie, I know you buy belts. This guy's just wanting to get rid of his belts. He's trying to get rid of them fast for a good price. So I message him. He's telling me $400 for both of them. I'm like, and I said, look, man. And I'm thinking in my head, okay, this is where I don't want to be me. And I buy these belts and somebody finds out and they're going to think that I tried to shortchange them. And
highway robbery.
And then you flip them.
Yeah. They're not going to believe that exactly. I could flip them for anything. You know what I mean? You're going to get triple, no problem from most people. And I was like, look, no offense. Because I even called him and I'm like, you know how much these things are worth? I'm like, you can probably get maybe for the AWA alone, you can probably get that or more, a lot more. And actually, because I think they run for $800-900. I mean, I don't know. You guys know better than me, but so I said, look, just when I get this from you, I just want you to know that I'd give you more if you want it. You know what I mean? I said, I don't want to do this unless you're really sure. No, Eddie, I talked to Wayne. You're a great guy. I want to bless you with this deal. I just want this stuff out of my house. And I was like, okay, that's all you had to say. I said, but I'm telling you, one of these alone are worth a lot more than this. And you're wanting, 200 piece. I know. One was even signed. Matthew Bowman has it now.
Yeah.
The Zabisco Bachwinkle.
Yeah. That's the one.
He had the original bag. There was no creases in the leather hardly. And I mean, it was one of the most perfect ones I had. Colin Sove actually wanted the tag. He begged me for it, but somebody else had actually wanted it. And so I sold it to him. I made a little bit of money, but I mean, it's hard not to make, because if I tell somebody, hey, shoot me an offer, they're going to shoot me something way more than I paid for it. And that's kind of what I did a raffle with the AWA, but the other one I sold really cheap. But with these ones, I don't like, like I said, to me, like it's a hybrid of the original. This one, it wasn't as bad as like the Intercontinental title or the Big Eagle, which was really nice. This one, I didn't really notice the difference as I was younger watching this. I saw it, I'm like, oh, okay, they're different a little bit. But it wasn't like the Oval. It wasn't a letdown. So if I had to have a handful of replicas, this tag might be one of them. So I don't think it's too bad.
Yeah, for sure. Now, speaking of replicas, let's go into not official replicas, because none of the actual block logo belts from the Attitude Era were made into replicas for some reason, which is such a shame. I think it's a hugely missed opportunity. I for sure know, at least for me, I would have gotten the block logo Big Eagle. If it was even Figs Inc., I would get that because it's just so nice. And having that rare to be nice, the thing just keeping me from getting those belts is the scratch logo. I'm not a fan of it, so that's why I'm not really a big Figs Inc. collector, but I think it's a huge missed opportunity. I know lots of people, not even including me, would for sure go and get those. But let's start off with arguably, not even arguably, the best belt maker. I think we can't even argue about that. Is block logo Big Eagle by Classic Shields, and the quality itself just speaks for itself. It's a beautiful belt. It looks like the real thing, maybe even better. What do you think, Eddie? I know you're more experienced in boots, so I'll go to you first. What do you think?
And I was just going to say, we're getting into my territory here a little bit. I actually have this belt in process with them right now. This same belt. And I'll be honest, because they'll put it out there as well. They offered it to me to review it. So, basically they came to me, asked me. I have a good relationship with Muhammad Irfan. I talk to him a couple times a week. So he's a great guy. He's really busy. And for you higher end boot collectors, because I'm sure there's gonna be a few of you watching here, so you get a little bit of a middleman, advice here. There are 5 guys making thousands of belts that cannot make a mistake, because if they make a mistake, then people, that don't want Classic Shields or have an issue with Classic Shields is going to expose it and make it into a 100 comment spectacle. Understand, when you buy a belt from them, you're going to get that belt. Now, are you going to get updates as much as you want them? Absolutely not. Are you going, to know when your belt's coming? Absolutely not. Now, is there a time frame to where you'll probably get it? Absolutely. So just be very patient and understand they only charge you $50, $100 up front. They give you a chance to pay it. And it helps them too, because if you don't want, you get tired of waiting, they can give your money back real easy. It's only $100, whatever.
That's what I
think. They say it's a benefit for the customer. It's a benefit for them too. So I just keep that in mind. Like, you can go to a guy like mine with a Seif and, have a quicker turnaround, but he's still learning with his leather. He's still learning with his art. And I'm going to give you an example at the end with the over the shoulder on how things can change. And, people don't get to see my perspective sometimes. Most guys have trouble with one. I deal with 7 or 8 makers. I have to send them money, I have to do all these other things. Not the easiest thing in the world to do. So, I've seen situations with other makers, not to go into this too much, where, they work with somebody for a long period of time. You're always going to have money out there. You know what I mean? So if this maker decides he's too greedy and doesn't want to deal with this person, or, this collect wants to expose this, or vice versa, whatever the situation, they can always say something, and you're going to have guys on this side. Maybe I'm speaking from the heart here, venting a little bit, but
go ahead.
You have guys that they're greedy. Makers get greedy, and like I said, I told you guys before we got on here, there's a fork they're going to go. A Seif's going to go this way and keep improving, or he's going to stay here and be happy with the profit he's making, or he's going to get too greedy and believe his own hype and go this way. Okay, now I've seen a lot of makers go this way. They could be this way, Muhammad Nawaz, I love you, but you need to communicate a little more with your customers. That's not helping you, and it's getting out there. And you make great belts. If you watch this, Muhammad Nawaz, I love you. I've had conversations with you, but Classic Shields is the only one I know that puts back into their business. 85% they tell me they put back into it. So that's how you get ahead. But some of these new makers, like this Thor belts, I don't know if you guys heard of them. Only 16, he's 16 years old. But people believe him because they want to feel important, being an admin and a middle guy, but they don't understand the work that it is. Sorry to go on a tangent with that, but this belt, I love it. And I want to say, other than the European block, this is probably the second nicest one that we've seen, and I can't wait to get it. I can't wait to review it. And if you can get this look quality, you guys, it's definitely one that I would suggest getting, especially on the flock alone. You're going to get, they call it the flock. It's going to make this look a lot better than probably the original. So shout out to Classic Shields for that, and take it away, you guys. I apologize. I just got on a middleman tangent here, and I'm like at war, and I'm starting to think things come back with me. And anyway, go ahead.
No, it's okay, and that's why we love having guests on here, just telling stories about that. And it brings insight. Some people don't know how difficult it is to be a middleman. Of course, we've talked before, and you've seen if you follow what you do on your podcast, you talk about it here. But you don't know how hard it is to really be a middleman until you actually do it. And
it's very difficult.
People think it's just like, to get profit or do this and that, but in reality, it's like a job, right. And I'm sure you can talk about that more. But speaking on this belt, it's I have to talk about it really? The quality speaks for itself. You see the plates are beautiful, the leather wonderful, and they're always improving. Like Eddie said, they're always putting money back into their business, and they're improving their leather. They've improved their leather this year a lot. Their plate quality, they're always constantly improving. So you're going to get a damn good belt. Rob, what do you think?
I mean, I think it looks absolutely amazing. I mean, it absolutely does. I get it. I'm a licensed collector. However, I know that they are the best belt. They are the best belt maker in the world. And we were talking.
Are you sure it's not United Belt Brothers?
And it's definitely not. No.
Just checking.
They're absolutely horrendous. Classic Shields. If I were to actually own one of the belts from Classic Shields, I would get that Alondra Blaze belt because I saw someone actually have it, and they were actually showing it off by Classic Shields. They really nailed it. Classic Shields, ladies and gentlemen, is the top belt maker in the world. There's no question about it. They nail their stuff. Do you have to wait a long time? Absolutely you do, but you're going to get a hell of a quality product, definitely. One thing though, guys, about this belt, and I'm looking at it, and we were talking about it when we were talking about it previously. Look at the block logo and look at the shade of blue compared to the strap. Is that the lighting, or is that just there you go. That's not the same shade. Doesn't look like it, right? It definitely doesn't. But do I think that looks better? Yes, I like that better. I absolutely do. But you can look at those plates. You can look at those plates, and you look at the side plates. That is just tremendous work. Like, holy shit.
And that leather cut,
it's beautiful. Perfect. It absolutely is beautiful. I mean, if you own this, guys, you own a top quality belt. There's no doubt. And that's coming from a Figs Inc. collector. Absolutely. Amazing.
Absolute beauty. Now, we were talking about Nawaz. We'll, of course, go over his block logo oval IC, the classic one. This is re-leathered by Canuck belt, so it is not on Nawaz's leather. His leather is okay. I have it on my big gold. I talked about in previous episodes. I also have it a full review on my channel. You guys can check that out. But his leather's fine. He has improved leather. I haven't checked that out yet, but his leather's okay. It's like most leather from Pakistan. It's decent, I guess. But this is re-leathered, so keep that in mind. And 24 karat gold plates, so as an upgrade, looks damn good. HD, the quality looks pretty damn good for for the price. It looks really good. What do you think, Eddie?
You're making me like this just for this particular picture. Colin Cook, Canuck belts. I remember I had an interaction with him. I haven't been around him lately, but I did sell him, oddly enough, some Bulldog plates from Big Bros, who is one of the biggest scammers in the hobby now. But at one point they did some pretty good plates. That's how I met Colin. and I seen him kind of evolve into what he's doing now. So congratulations with Canuck belts. I like this. I like Nawaz. Like I said, Nawaz has so much potential. Nobody's ever going to unseat Classic Shields, but Nawaz definitely has the ability to be number 2. And I know Orm's got this HD going on and everything now, but I know Nawaz can make trophy belts. I know he can make cast belts, or he's attempting to do cast work, and then he does great 4mm zinc work. But I like the setup here, man. This just looks beautiful. The leather looks great. I like this a lot better than the one The Rock had, on that one picture. So definitely looks good here. Still not my favorite compared to, the older ones, but not a bad pick here.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think it looks outstanding. I really do. I don't like purple. I mean, and I get it. That's not Nawaz's leather, and I get it and everything. But the plates look immaculate. They really do. Like, I think he really, really did a really, really good job with this. Each plate. If I was to comment here, guys, and I mean, rookie belt collectors who come into the game, and I mean, they either go with the replica side, the Figures Inc. licensed, or they go with the boot or the boot side. For people that have never gotten belts from the overseas makers, and I mean, I know you two gentlemen have definitely had a lot of experience with them. Is there any advice that you can provide to any of the new belt collectors or anybody new watching this who want to get overseas products from those belt makers? Is there anything that you can provide them on this podcast?
Now, I know Eddie can speak a lot on this, but one thing I would say is, one big thing is, and it's a pretty easy thing to do, is go through a middleman. That's just the simplest thing. If you're scared, if you're worried, you don't want to get scammed, or if you just don't want to deal with a maker, go through a middleman. Of course, Dustin King, Eddie Williams, of course, huge middleman, working with lots of makers. Or even if you're not sure about a maker, Eddie, you have a bunch of groups, scammers, and trusted makers. I'm sure you can speak more about this. One thing, if you're using PayPal, goods and service, always, unless you fully trust them, even then, goods and service is a good way to protect yourself and them. So, Eddie, I know you can speak more on this. So, what do you say?
If I'm coming in, knowing what I know now, and I'm giving advice for someone that's coming into this hobby, whatever page that you go to, and you guys might feel different about this, but stop making posts asking who the best maker and where to go is. That shit drives me nuts. And Brothers of the Bell, every time I see that, I'm like, and you see them all the time. I'll say something, and maybe 5 minutes later that somebody's asking again. Now, you can do that. Okay. And we preach in Brothers of the Bell to make sure you put cost in there, you put turnaround time, and you put your overall expectations, because overall you have to look at the belt. You're not going to have, one of us walk in and say, hey, that's not right. Or at one time I had 70 brass belts years ago, and I had people want to come take pictures, and they loved them all the same. So the beauty is in the eye of the beholder and the expectation that you have. Now, if I'm going to look through groups, I'm probably going to join, and I'm probably going to just ghost and watch for a little bit and see the good and bad. I might even go to an admin and be like, Max or Rob, where do I go? You know what I mean? I don't want to make the mistake and just trust a maker, because makers can be pretty convincing. They can put on a good sob story. I've had makers come to me telling me this person did this, and then I find the whole story and it's all bullshit. You know what I mean? Yeah. So but people want to believe that I would do something wrong, because it's people love wrestling. They love drama. So what better than
you're a heel?
Yeah, I'm turning into a heel. Not trying to turn into a heel, but I'm kind of turning into one, because I want to do the right thing. I want to be Brothers of the Belt. We'd probably be at 12,000 people if it didn't get shut down. As it is, we're 3,000 in just probably 4 or 5 months. So and then we have Championship Belt Club, Area 51, and Gold Rush, Buy, Sell, and Trade. We have the Guide of the Belt Hobby, the Do's and Don'ts in the Belt Hobby. My 963 podcast, The Dirt Sheet, Friday at 8 p.m. Actually, we're moving to 9 Eastern. And if you guys have questions on there, we're on YouTube as well, 963 podcast. And we talk about anything that, any advice people would want, where to go. So mainly, if I'm brand new, I'm going to watch a little bit, and then I'm going to ask the admins, because sometimes these admins in some of these groups have an agenda. So and I hate to say it, because now we're at 3,000 and we were a lot more. Take a look at how many people are on the page. If you got 200 or 300 people, they're all going to love United Belt Brothers. Now, if you got one that's 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000, then they've been around a little while, and you can respect somebody's feedback in there. But don't take, oh yeah, Classic Shields is the best. Then hey, how much is that wing eagle? Well, $1,300, and it's going to take 12 months. I'll be like, what?
That's yeah.
You know, like I'm not doing that. So that's what I mean. Just be a little mindful, look around, and don't assume that everybody's telling you the truth, because everybody's experience, people expect things different. If I go to Classic Shields, I fully expect to wait 12 months at least. Now, if I go to a CEF and I look around and I'm on MS Creations, well, you know, I can go to Eddie, or, you know, I can go to a CEF. These prices aren't that bad. I'm just putting it up here. So maybe my leather don't need to be 100% accurate, even though we are working on those things. You know, realistically, it takes time for these makers to get adjusted and do their, if they have to want to do it too. Right. They have to not just want a $20, $30 profit. They have to want to evolve. And I'll talk about that on the shoulder, you know, when we do the shoulder thing. But basically, just have realistic expectations. 99% of the makers overseas, 99% of the makers are not going to be truthful with you with everything. With the middle guy, I'm going to be honest. I'll tell Max, we had this conversation about a maker. I'm like, right. It's not his great work. It's not his best work, Max. You know, I had to pull teeth to get it done. We did have some changes that we had to do, but you know, I would rather be honest. And when I have been honest with people, honesty that they don't hear from makers, they're like, Eddie, that's why I'm going back to you. You know what I mean? Exactly. And Eddie, let's work together. Yeah, Eddie, maybe this wasn't the greatest, but you were with me the whole way. I can't pull the maker's throat from, you know, here from Pakistan. If I could, sometimes I probably would. Okay, but I have this agreement now. Like I go to a CEF. I don't know if you guys know this. Like they're my orders. So if he doesn't come through, guess whose problem it is? It's mine. You know, it's not his. So I have this agreement. You send me these belts. These are not your well. They're our customers. We're a team. I love him. He loves me. He's a great. I know that word's used a lot, but guy really is a good guy. And I've been with a lot of piece of shit, so I understand what it is to be with a good guy that turns around fast and he just wants to improve and and please. I hate to say it like this, but please me and be happy with the whole situation and me please him with what I'm doing for him. But I not to go on a long vent here, but You just got to be careful, guys. Don't, go to these guys right here. If you're in Belt Addicts Anonymous, ask them and they will tell you where to go, whether you want a replica, whether you want a boot, whether you want a high-end one or a low-end one. But just don't go in thinking $200 is going to get you what you're looking at right there, because you're absolutely not going to get that belt. So
I couldn't have said it perfectly.
Yeah, sorry. I absolutely couldn't have either. And I mean, I definitely tell everybody, to definitely join the guide to the do and the don'ts. I mean, that is definitely one of the best pages. I mean, all of your pages, Eddie, are great, but that is the one that is really going to protect the universe. It's really going to protect us guys, even with belt makers, with pieces of shit, like just local transactions. I mean, seriously, I hate scammers. I do. I definitely do. I don't want anyone getting scammed or anything. If I'm a belt maker from an individual, Belt Addicts Anonymous doesn't warrant this, and we will kick those pieces of shit out of our group so fast and ban their ass. So if you have any questions or anything with respect to anyone, belt makers or anything, you don't even have to message us in Mins. You can message Eddie. You can message anybody. We're all a brotherhood. We're a brotherhood. We're here to help everybody. That's what we're here for.
No, that's exactly it. Now, yeah. I kind of said it perfectly, and I just want to leech off of what Eddie said. When I first got in the hobby, I was overwhelmed. Classic Shields, ORM. At the time, mine was a big name. It was so many makers, and you just don't know. Wow. Like for me, and we'll talk about it a bit later, I was looking for an AEW. That's the main thing I was looking for. There wasn't any official replicas or any word of it at the time. This is like a year and a half ago or so, and I just didn't know where to go. I did exactly what he said, just like lay low, watch some videos, of course, just see what's going on. And then you get a general idea of who are the good makers, the low-end makers, middle-end makers, of course, the high-end, the Noirs, the Classic Shields. So, yeah, exactly. But let's move on to a more budget-friendly belt. I didn't want to just talk about $1,000 belts. Sometimes you just don't want to pay $1,000 for a belt, and that's fine. Like for me, I don't want to spend $1,000 for a European Championship. So there's Royal Belts. Mohammed Lukman, he's really improved, especially his leather. You can see there, his leather has improved leaps and bounds. I had my AEW Tag Team Championship a while ago made from him, and his leather was, to be honest, shit. And I told him, And he said, "Yeah, I'm improving it." And then I got a TNT championship made for my grandfather for his birthday. Leather was improved a lot more. So of course, this is a maker who's improving constantly. Mohammed Lukman, his plates aren't bad. SD plates, decent leather, decent price. Probably under like 100, 350 around that mid range price. Decent belt. What do you think, Eddie?
Luckman is a perfect example of where customer service will get you paid.
Yes.
Now he comes from a family that is in the metal business, and they've made trophies and plaques and kind of like classic shields. I don't know if you guys, their family, they came from a success story. Muhammad Irfan's father was already a successful metal, and that's why when they say classic shields, it wasn't really belts at first. They even went like David belts for a little while, but it was all about his family. They have a history of metal, just like Luckman's does. So when you mass produce things over there, as you guys probably know, wherever you're at, quality doesn't register with some of these guys. They go on eBay and they think if they put something that looks similar to the original, which they understand they're still going to have a market for that. Okay, but Luckman is starting to understand that he needs to put a little more quality, a little more work into it's going to get him a little more profit. And he's so popular though. My God, like at one point he asked me to middle for him, and I told him, I was like, look, you really might not need that. I mean, if you're not wanting, because he didn't really give me the impression he wanted to improve at that point. He was happy where he was. He thought his customers were happy because they do rave for him. Go put Luckman with anybody in any group and watch. We'll start getting members in the group, and they'll be like, Luckman's just a Scott, and and he really is great, and he is a great guy to talk to. And there is a couple of them over there that you can have a great conversation and get lost in it and just start buying all their work and supporting them like that. You're supporting the cause, but his leather has got a little better. He's doing CNC work and some other things, but at the cost and the service he gives his customers, you're not going to find this perfect example of him right there. This is a perfect example. You do not need a perfect belt to sell and make money. Now, if he wants to get guys like you guys, he's going to have to improve a little more to get that. But anyway, Luckman, a great guy. That's not a bad belt at all.
What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, I agree. I had a great conversation with Muhammad Lukman. He's a fantastic guy. There was no question about it. I absolutely agree. He messaged me. We were having an issue with one of our members that scammed him, and I had a really good conversation with him. I actually went to I got his back on that one, and I booted that piece of crap. I was actually friends with him on Facebook. I blocked him too. He was not good. He was not good enough. He was also posted on your scammers page, Eddie, as well. He will be always labeled as a scammer, but I totally agree. Muhammad Lukman is a great guy. You will definitely get your belt. There is no doubt. He's trusted. He's got a big following. There absolutely is. Have I recommended him? I've recommended him to so many people. I can't believe it because people message me. I get random messages from people. Hey, you know what? I'm looking to get a custom belt made. Who do you think I would go with? I said, okay, well, I don't have any, but to be honest, I know about some belt makers. I definitely do. I said, I always mention, classic shields. I mentioned your name, Eddie. You can contact Eddie, for Muhammad Asif. I also say Muhammad Lukman. There absolutely is. Muhammad Lukman is a great guy. There is no doubt about it. I can't go on more about him. He is a really nice guy. I think this belt actually looks pretty good. I really do. It's not a bad work. Your AEW. Now let's talk about that AEW tag though, because that was a post that was actually on Belt Addicts Anonymous. We're not going to mention his name, but he ended up getting a belt from someone, and I gotta be honest, it looked like absolute horseshit. It really did. Compared to what Lukman put out, and I know Max, you're gonna go get it. That's what Lukman put out, and Max is gonna show you. But Lukman's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. He's a great guy, and this is re-leathered by Ryan Richards, but the plates pretty damn good.
That's the way
some of the best AEW tag plates I've seen, and I talked to him about it. I wanted them stacked. I talked about the artwork, how I wanted specifically. I never, and even to this day, I haven't really seen a good AEW tag replica. Most of the times, the paint color on the globe is wrong, or the sizing is wrong, or the font is wrong. Lots of issues with it. This is really good. There isn't really too many issues with it. The strap was the only issue. I got it re-leathered, and now I love it. You see the nameplate stacked, just like the actual belt.
He did a great job on it.
He did an amazing job. I was honestly surprised. Like, I expected a decent belt, but when I got it, I was just really, really surprised. And I asked for a Matt Jackson nameplate just to show you what kind of a great guy he is. He added me my own main nameplate just as a gift. He's like, "Yeah, you were a customer before. You're a great guy. You know, just gave me one just as a gift, just a sign of generosity." That's how nice he is. He's a wonderful guy.
And absolutely. And even though I don't buy boots, I can actually call Muhammad Lukman a friend of mine. I absolutely can. Sure. He is definitely a great guy. He always, he says, if you're ever looking for something, and I actually mentioned the Alondra Blaze one to him, just in passing. And he says, yeah, we can take a look at it. He's a great guy. And he's not going to bother you. You know, those random belt makers that constantly message you, oh, hey, I gave good gift to you. Muhammad Lukman's not going to do that. He's not going to do that.
If he ever like the other day, he messaged me just to talk. No belt talk. He just messaged me. He's like, "Hey, how's it going? Good." Just a normal conversation. He didn't even ask me, "You have any orders?" No. He just asked me, "How's it going? How's it going?" It's just a nice guy, and he won't bug you like United Belt Bros. Everyone messaging you, "Do you want a belt? Do you want a belt?" No. He's a great guy, solid guy. Now, moving on to the... I know Rob doesn't really like this maker, of course, ORM, but he is one of the only makers that has made this belt. I know for sure a Seif would make this belt and blow it out of the water, and it would look amazing, especially on CNC. Rob, I don't think I have to say much. It looks pretty decent. I've had ORM's leather. His leather's pretty good. His plate quality it's fine. Honestly, Nawaz's work is kind of better with the HD, but I know ORM is improving with the HD. We'll have to see how that is. His prices are kind of high, though, for SD plates. Like $750 for a single layer belt. Like, I get the leather is pretty good, but communication trash, wait times, who knows? Rob, I know you're ready to go on it, so go ahead.
Yeah, his customer service is absolute horse shit. It absolutely is. And it wasn't until that time that we called his ass out on our podcast that you actually ended up getting a message about your United States belt that shouldn't have taken as long as it did to make. And then it was actually ironic when we were calling his ass out. I believe, Eddie, you called his ass out on Brothers of the Belt. So it was just ironic. I mean, does he put out good belts? Sure, he does. But his customer service, I mean, do you want to wait? And do you want to wait? I mean, yeah, but he's not honest. He's not honest. There's got to be some trust there. He's got to work on that. He's got to work on this shit because, I mean, people who are going to be putting down money, they're not going to get their fucking belts. And I mean, we're calling your ass out on a podcast and you finally send Max a picture. I mean, I'm really hoping you're watching this, bud. You need to get your shit in order. I mean, really. So, Eddie, what do you think, though?
The belt here, as far as the belt, the belt's beautiful. We know I like this design because we had talked about that before. You're going to get great work from him. I do agree the prices are high. To go off of what Rob said, though, I've had a lot of conversations with him. These guys are going to do what they want in the end. And the problem is, like I said, it drives me nuts when people say who the best maker is. They start spouting these guys off without the history behind it. And Orm, as you said, if he's watching this, we've talked about this many times. When you're going to put that you have in-stock belts and you got people waiting since 2020, they're going to notice that. But the problem is that in Brothers of the Belt, you'll have 20, 30 people defend them. So these people don't even want to say something's wrong because they're afraid they're going to wait longer for the belt. Now, there's no proof to that. I'm not saying that happens, but they're afraid of that. And then they have other people afraid that they're going to bash them. So Orm, like I said, Nawaz is pretty close. I've seen work overall with a couple of makers that is at Orm's quality for a lot cheaper and a lot less bullshit. Now, if they're great makers, they're always going to take a long time most of the time. But I've never said this before, but I'm putting this on the show since Rob's had some strong feelings about it. I had got a couple of years ago, Brian Jordan. I know you guys all know who he is. Jeff Parthay and Josh Hammer. Okay. And me, we all bought one of his textured big golds, you know, great leather, everything. The plates were done. Now I got mine, and I never said this before, in 93 days. Okay, from the time I bought it to in my hands, it was 93 days. Now, Brian waited almost a year. Josh waited, and they're all at the same pace, mind you. Okay, and I've heard stories that these plates were sold to somebody else, but you can't confirm that, and they can come whip up any story, and oh well, come on, you know, they've never done us wrong. Why would they do that now? But most of those guys waited 8 to 10 months. Even Josh too. Josh Hammer even waited that long. So Orm tells me, no, brother, post this belt. I said, are you kidding me? These people know when I ordered this belt because it was on your page. You think I'm going to post that? You think I'm going to get questions? That's a great belt. Or no, I'm going to get questions. How long did that take?
Yeah.
And Eddie, we know when you ordered that. I've been waiting for 18 extra months. Where the fuck's my belt? So I'm like, Orm, there's no way I'm posting this. Okay. And he was upset about it, but I'm like, you can't do that. I'm like, and I told him at that time, where's Josh's belt? Where's Brian? Brian took the longest, and Brian's a great guy, and Brian's damn well going to post, you know, when he has a problem. It's just like Hazard F5. He waited a year. He waited a year for his, you know, Omi tells him, why didn't you just tell me you were Hazard F5? I'm like, well, why should I have to? I shouldn't get extra treatment for that. You know what I mean? He's, you know, we all know who he is. I grew up on Hazard 5, as you want to put it that way. And, but when he fixes that, and you know, as well as I do, Max, from my experience, and I knew Mayan was having longer wait times. I didn't realize it was going to implode like it did, and he would get greedy. But, I told you and a lot of people, it's going to be a 4-month minimum before I even get some type of update from him. Like, I didn't tell people 60 days like Orm, you know what I mean? I was honest with them. Like, it's going to take some time. He's got a lot of orders, and I would explain to people, and then they would see all the craziness. But, you know, Orm, Mayan, I don't want to say Classic Shields because I know they put a lot of money and they got a small group, and they don't even trust people to do their customer service. That's why they got Kaleem doing it now, because they don't want. They had asked me at one point, and I was like, look, I don't have time. I love you guys, but, you know, I'm basically all I'm going to do is be answering about updates that I can't provide for them. So I felt like I was just going to be in this world of stuff, and not that they're bad, but, you know, I already tried to. I've been in sales for many years, so, you know, I had to deflect all the Mayan stuff, and then he got greedy, and that's what happens to these guys. They believe their own hype. I mean, he told me that he made me. Mayan said he made me, and it's like he don't need me. He don't need nobody. But
where is he now?
Have fun with your 319 people that you got in your group after he had almost 3,000 with me, and have fun selling your belts for $175, like I hear you do, because you weren't doing that before. But anyway,
that's okay. You know,
Omi,
it's his choice.
Yeah, you need to be honest, because I'm telling you, if I'm talking to Rob as his middle guy, I'm gonna be, Rob, you know, we'll get a small deposit. It's probably going to take a year, but, you know, we'll keep you updated best we can, and hopefully we'll get a sale after that. I'm not going to lie and say 60 days, and then, you know, Rob's going to be after 60 days, and I'll be like, man, I don't even know if he started it yet. You know, like, and that's I'm not doing that. I can't.
And the issue isn't the wait time; it's the honesty. Like, I don't care.
The honesty.
Like,
yes.
I ordered from Classic, like, canceled for a reason. And I'll talk about it in a future episode. But I was fine with waiting a year. I was like, whatever. I'm waiting a year, and I know what I'm getting into. They told me 7-8 months minimum. Yeah. They're not giving me a like. Orem told me 2 to 4 months.
Right.
After 6 months, I didn't have a single update. It took 10 months for an update, and that's after we called them out and asked for everything, and I asked for a refund. That's when I finally got an update. So it's like, you shouldn't have to. It shouldn't be like a hassle to get updates, or just to be honest, you know, just tell upfront, minimum close to a year.
For that to happen, these makers have to. It's the people around them, though, that pump them up, or they're Teflon, and that's a huge problem. And if you guys see me on Brothers of the Belt, that's why I get pissed, and I'm on these people. And no offense to a lot of these vets in here, it doesn't matter how long you've been in this hobby, man. You learn things at different paces, and maybe I haven't been as long as Rusty Miller or Dan McMahon, or, you know, these guys that have been around a long time. And the hobby's a lot different than when those guys were in it. There's a lot different. We don't just have one or two shitty bootmakers. There's actually some bootleggers, whatever you want to call them, that do some pretty great work. Yeah. So, you know, just like replica, so you have both of those options. But Orm, when you see you taking vacations and you're buying these things and then you got somebody waiting since July of 2020, it's just not a good look. You can only smooth somebody for so long before they're going to get pissed off. And
Exactly.
But then you got your guys in there. Well, Omi's good to me, or Omi's good to me, or I had great customer service, or I had this. So you got people like, who's telling the truth here? So that's and they live off of that. They know exactly what they're doing. I guess what I'm saying.
And we were talking about earlier, if you're a new belt collector, you come in, you hear some people shouting at the top of their lungs, "I only waited 2 months. I only waited 3 months." And you're like, "Oh, okay, that's not bad." And then you order, and then 13 months later, nothing.
You don't. Right. And I mean, like I said, ORM, I hope you are watching this. I'll never recommend your sorry ass, bud. Okay, so just so you know.
Now, moving on to, of course, classic shields. They made the classic tags, the block logo, of course, and beautiful. I mean, the Big Eagle I showed earlier was a bit of the older work. This is their current work, and you can see even that has improved. Like, the detail on this is ridiculous. You can see it from a distance. You can see the trunks, the boots. Hell, you can probably even see the laces on those wrestlers' boots. The detail is crazy. The leather cut is perfect, exactly what I'd want. And of course, when you order from them, you can get whatever leather cut you want. You want the wide one, go ahead. If you want a thinner cut like this one, they'll give it to you. And it looks perfect. It speaks for itself.
Right.
Now, Eddie, what do you think?
You're not going to find a more perfect belt in the hobby, is what we're looking at right now. But this is what you get for waiting for a year. You got to get past the fact they're not going to update you. Every 3 months, just kind of throw them on. I mean, trust me, they can see it, but they're not going to message you if they don't have the answer that you want. And the problem is, you'll have a guy like Max, or Rob, or myself that we're okay with waiting, and we understand the process, and we poked around enough to understand how long these things take. But I mean, you see that. I mean, I know like Josh had one of these recently too, and I think he waited I'm telling you, it's like 18 months or something like that. And for this, but when he got it, I don't know if you guys remember, he got the hammer box with the cigar. They made this little silhouette of him on a box, and then he had this in there because he loves demolition. So he likes this belt, and I don't know. I love it. This is the hard thing. This is like, an addict with drug. Like, you see it and you're like, what's ahead of you if you make that message, and you talk to Muhammad Irfan, you get all psyched up, and they show you all these leather cuts, all the correct ones. They show you all the correct ones and all the correct designs, and we're going to get it out for you. But they're translating. You're going to wait a very long time for this, and I just hope they do what they say that they're going to do. And they have another plant that they were building, plant, factory, whatever you want to call it. They were going to hire a few more people and maybe get some of these out done a little bit quicker. Now, I know they don't want to compromise quality, so who knows? They could have people in there that they've been teaching for the past 5 or 6 months to a year to at least have a role. Because I know Kaleem has taken a bigger role than he had before. It was just Ismail doing the art and some other stuff, and then Muhammad Irfan and a couple of other family members, doing all the grunting work, I guess you would say. So to get a belt like that, even if you're doing one, it's going to take a long time. So imagine having a table of 100, that you can't make one fucking mistake. Because if you make one mistake, you're going to fucking hear about it. That's like me. God forbid I do anything wrong or say anything wrong or something taken from this podcast. And, Eddie's this asshole. And, God forbid Eddie's, it helps everybody and tries to be a great middleman and, tries to help grow the hobby with the rest of us. God forbid he do that, man. Like, so anyway, perfect. Yeah, exactly. Perfect 10 belt right there. You can't go wrong with it. And I love how they have the perfectly put blurs on the logos as well. Rob, even that's got to be top line.
I had to seriously, as you were talking, I had to turn around and look at my Figures Inc. belt and then look at this belt. And my Figures Inc. belt, the detail on that doesn't even come like this is absolutely amazing. And this is not even a licensed belt. I think they nailed this one way more than the Figures Inc. belt. It's just incredible. It absolutely is incredible. Like, look at that. Like first off, look, that leather cut is absolutely incredible. Those plates, beautiful detail. You can see everything on that belt. And this is the all gold. And I
Imagine
love
the
it.
dual plated.
I mean, the dual plated would be absolutely incredible.
Here's a CNC Muhammad Asif. I don't know if it's pretty close to that. I mean, it's not classic
It's
shields,
damn
but
good.
Like he
I
nailed
mean,
that too, Eddie. He nailed that.
this deep etching. I'm telling you what, this is a beast. This pic that I'm showing you guys, like this video, is no justice to this because this is
Leather,
absolutely beautiful.
leather looks soft too.
Like he
Oh,
nailed
it is. Oh, it's absolutely, man. I mean, this is going to Joe Dashing Lessel. I gave him a deal on it for Cyber Week, but yeah, I mean, this is what's going to happen. These makers like Orm and Classic Shields and Nawaz, they're going to have to step up their customer service game because these guys like Asif are going to be sneaking up and be taking some of your customers.
You got me. And I'll say it now, like I ordered a Classic Shields Winged Eagle, and I was ready to pay, but then that price just really hurt me, honestly. 1,300 is just like I paid for it, but then like as the months progressed, I was like, holy shit, 1,300 USD, which is like 10,000 Canadian. It's just like a ridiculous amount of money. So I was like, and I was seeing Asif's work. His work just looks so good. And then coincidentally, I won a raffle, so I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm going with Asif. Getting a dual plated Winged Eagle with the extra thick sidebar. So I can't wait to see that come out. Of course, I'll reveal on this channel and talk about it during the podcast. But you see on Eddie's screen his work.
Looks like layered pieces on here. I'm telling you, that's how good this belt is. And a little story about give you guys some inside information about the hobby a little bit, so people can watch this here. I'll give you some controversial stuff here a little bit. And things happen sometimes, but if you don't get the correct communication, from any maker that you deal with, it's going to make the experience that, like Rob said, you guys both said, if you just a little bit of honesty, it goes a long way. I got a Wing Eagle with Classic Shields right now, and I actually had a person message me. It's the same belt, and they're like, "What? Did you get another belt, Eddie?" Because even they're noticing when I'm posting. Now, I had a WrestleMania 4 style Wing Eagle that was about a month away from being done. Okay, just had to put leather. They told me next month, I promise you. Now, a lot of people were wanting a high roller raffle. So I started working with the Asif. Mind you, it's not Classic Shields. He's like, Eddie, if you really want one of those, I can make you one. Because people were wanting me to raffle a Classic Shields belt, a belt for Classic Shields. So it's like, I'll do the Wing Eagle. So I'm like, and I even showed picture. It was a month away from being done. And sure enough, somebody won. Then I got an update 3 months later, and it regressed. It was going to nickel plating. It went from being put on leather to going to nickel plating. And I talked to Muhammad Irfan. I'm like, I said, you know what this is going to look like to the first person that won? Is it like, it's not Eddie's belt anymore, it's somebody else's, so I can take a little bit longer on the belt. And I hate to say that, but this is true.
Yeah.
And in a lot of respects, people, they like that. I'm sure, Max, you've gotten deals. Rob, you've gotten makers probably saying, just show the belt off and I'll give you a deal, or I'll give it to you outright.
Yeah.
I don't do that unless I believe in the belt. And most of the time I don't need to take a free, but I got every belt I want or can ever want. So it has to be something more than that. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you want to send me 10 belts? I want to see what you're doing first. If I don't know who you are, and a lot of these guys, they're going to send the belt to me. I'm not paying a dime until I see them. And that's how I do it. Some people, they're lucky to get one belt to them, but I mean, I think I've earned the fact I've sold hundreds and hundreds and I've got so many belts on this floor right now. It's driving me nuts. I got to handle this by tomorrow. Yeah, I was like, look, this does not look good because people are paying attention. And so they sped up a little bit. It's supposed to be done next month, but it's good. David Johnson won that raffle, and it's just not a good look to wait an extra 6 or 7 months when it's supposed to be done the month before. I guess there was plating issues, or they redid it, or they wanted to be perfect, or whatever they wanted to say to make the situation go away. And I'm okay with it. I mean, I'm saying it on here, but since we're talking about this and we're trying to give people a realistic view of what it would take to purchase that, just like this in front of you, or a Wing Eagle or something like that. So customer service and honesty goes a long way. But,
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful belt, beautiful quality, but you're gonna be waiting a while. But if you're ready for that, and if you're good with paying a decent amount, like $1,000, more than $1,000, but you're getting this quality, about a year's wait. If you know what you're getting into, no issues.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I've spent that amount.
Now that does bring us to the end of the podcast. Eddie, do you have a bunch of groups or podcasts or YouTubes you want to shout out?
Yeah, we have the BAM podcast. It just got I guess redone. Unfortunately, we were forced to do that. It got reported by somebody for we're believing it's the coins. That Matthew Winteroth, everybody's friend, the lawyer for WWE, had it taken down. So there is a new one. It's called the BAM podcast. It doesn't have that many subscribers, so it's hard to find. So if you want a link, I can always send a link to anybody on here. You know, Eddie
I'll put it in the description.
I'll put it in the description.
Okay, and also we have the 963 podcast, which is a new time, 9 p.m. Eastern each week on Friday. We do the dirt sheet, or sometimes we have interviews. We're gonna have some interviews that are coming up, and on the BAM podcast as well. We got a lot of wrestlers and a lot of other things that we do that are going to be coming out that you guys will be, excited for once we get that done. We have Brothers of the Belt, as everybody knows. That's probably our main page. That's probably the daddy of all of them. So we want to grow that. So if you guys aren't involved, or some of you guys might have think that we blocked you or took you out of it because you got, we had to redo that one and start that one over. But it's still there. Championship Belt Club, Area 51, BST, Gold Rush BST, the Guide to the Belt Hobby, the do's and don'ts to the belt hobby. There might be a 963 podcast Facebook, 963 podcast YouTube, 963 podcast Instagram, 963 podcast Twitter. I think that's about it.
That's it.
But
right.
Like, subscribe, follow, help me out. Would appreciate it. And of course, you guys here at the Belt Addicts Anonymous, you guys got a great following, great group. So definitely watch that one as well.
Yeah, for sure. Now, Rob, how do we usually end the podcast? I'm getting some amnesia. I'm kind of forgetting.
And all good, man. And before we do that, maybe we should mention what we're doing next week.
For sure. Now, it does have to do with the belt that I have over my shoulder. It is the AEW World Championship. Now, the reason it might seem a little random, bit of a stretch connection for next week's episode, but of course I have the Kenny Omega nameplate on there, the former belt collector, and one of those belts that he did collect was the Impact World Championship. So next week we'll be going over the TNA and Impact, or even the Global Force Wrestling, whatever the fuck that was, all of those world titles, the history behind those. So we'll be looking at all of those versions. Now, Rob, please tell me how we finish a podcast.
Well, how we finish it, we take a belt, we put it over our shoulder here, and go for it here.
I gotta get one.
What belt do you have over your shoulder, Rob?
A rarity. It's, of course, I mean, I might as well just say it's rare. This is a Figs, but this is the WWF Warrior. It's absolutely incredible here. This is a Licensed Figures Inc. Belt. It's absolutely really, really in good shape. I only know one other guy that has this, and I know who sold it to him because it was the same guy that sold it to me. He had two of them. I mean, much love for you, Colin. Thank you for selling me this belt, for having it in my collection. It goes well with my other Intercontinental Championships, so happy to have it.
Now, Eddie, which belt do you have over your shoulder? I think you have a bit of a story that goes with it.
Yeah, I have a block logo, European, on a green strap. It does have black backing. I did explain that this should have had a different backing on it. This belt is not perfect. The long story short is I explained every detail to this particular maker to make this belt as perfect as it could be as far as the art and the leather. Okay, now, a lot of makers out there that might be watching this, okay, I've been in this hobby a while. I understand what people want. Rob and Max, if they were middling the same way, if they're telling you a detail on a belt, they're telling you for a reason. Now, this belt doesn't have a tip, but I've gotten belts from this one actually does have a tip. But I've gotten ones like from the Big Eagle and other belts where I'm like, look, the Big Eagle doesn't have a tip. Okay, don't put a tip on it. That's going to cost you. Your belt price is going to go from $350 to $250 just on that spec alone. Now, as far as like the tooling and stuff, people can get past that. But if there's just details like a tip or the wrong logo plate, and these are things, if I've already expressed that these need to be done in the beginning for, whatever customer that is. I'm doing that to help you make money, and I'm doing that to help you grow. Now, yes, you're going to have 9 or 10 people say, "Oh, your belt is great. I loved paying $225 and $250." But let me tell you, you makers, that if you just change a few details and listen to somebody that has your best interest involved, that 225 to 250 is going to go to 350 to 400. Save your money and not blow it. Then it goes to 500, 600, 700. Then before you know it, maybe you're sitting in the same table as Classic Shields if you work hard. But if you don't want to listen to somebody like this is a perfect example. I got this today. Now, the person that I got it for did not want it, obviously, because I was told that I was going to get something in particular. And then it comes to me, and it's not exactly after I asked for a video. I asked for everything before you send it out to me. And then you don't understand why the guy wants a refund. Okay, this isn't a CEF, by the way. Okay, but a CEF would have already handled that business. I wouldn't have had to ask him. And guys like that, it's a blessing. I've had guys like Mayan that didn't want to listen. Okay, like this maker in particular didn't want to listen at this time, and he was believing the hype of his page, and he was believing of some of his people. Yeah, that's going to be fine. But those particular 50, 100, whatever, they're not going to buy from you forever. You're going to, at one point, going to actually have to expand and get a bigger clientele base. And that's not always a good thing either, because look what's happened to Orm, look what's happened to Nawaz. So I think, these guys go in and they make money. Like a lot of them, I don't know, they do something before they do belts is what I heard. And they save their money up to get that big old load of zinc and, everything. And then they try to do it because the belt hobby over there is huge. It's one of the biggest things in the Selcott area. But long story short, if you want to make it, save some of your money, listen to some of these guys that want to give you the details. They don't want to be a pain in the ass. They just want to make sure that it's correct. And if it's done correct, then you're not going to have to worry about it again. So long story short, listen to us. We know what we want. Save your money, protect, and get the details, man. Anyway.
Exactly. Now it brings a perfect ending to the podcast. Guys, please make sure to check out all those Facebook groups. Of course, Belt Addicts Anonymous, Brothers of the Belt, The Scam List, of course, 963 Podcast, BAM Podcast. Also, check out last week's episode where me and Rob went over the Ring of Honor World Championships. Next week, we'll be going over the TNA/Impact World Championships. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys next week.